I first became aware of Montana's Tizer Dolmen a couple of years ago. Ever since, I've been fascinated by its sheer magnificence. Two huge granite pillars supporting a capstone 25 feet above the surrounding terrain, eerily similar to man-made structures all over Europe and Asia. Some here in the U.S. were proposing that this object was proof of an ancient civilization here in the United States. Ancient civilizations make my heart go pitter-patter, so I resolved that someday I had to see it. The problem is, it's not that easy to visit. Perched on a mountaintop in Montana's Elkhorn National Forest, one has to find out where it is and then hike to it. It's not a particularly difficult hike, but the altitude of the site, which is between 5,700 and 6,500 feet above sea level, can make it challenging for many people. Another challenge is finding the site. There's been some confusion about the location in the past, but I can resolve that now. The site is located about 770 meters north of the Tizer Lake Road, some 4 miles east of Jefferson City, Montana. A word of warning, however, the Tizer Lakes Road is more a trail in the forest than a road. It's strictly four-wheel drive. The best way to get there is to take Interstate 15 to the Jefferson City exit south of Helena. Cross the freeway bridge and take a right on Tizer Lakes Road. Follow it approximately 4 miles, as shown on the map, to the marked location where you can park. Exit your vehicle and hike about 500 meters on a heading of about north 30 east. There is a somewhat visible path. Continue following the path as it climbs up the hill. It becomes quite steep and there are deadfall and large boulders that you must negotiate. After climbing for about 250 meters, you'll see the object in the trees on the side of the slope ahead.
It looks stranger the closer you get to it. First really queer aspect of it is that the bottom of it is rounded, and it's rounded all the way along, and it's a smooth curve. It's not irregular. It looks like it was worked, but there's no evidence of tool marks that I can find. Just that kind of looming capstone sitting up there way above everything else around it, and you wonder, how the hell did it get up there when all these other boulders are at a totally different level? The second mystery is that crack, which it would be easy to say, well, it's just a crack, one stone, and weathered and frost jacked and that kind of stuff, and it cracked. But that crack is oriented exactly north-south, and I mean exactly, close as I can measure it. And that's strange. Because really, most of the objects around here, when we've looked at a cross-section of many of them, they tend to be oriented more northeast, correction, northwest, southeast. Not this one. strangeness, the way that it stands out from the landscape. That boulder on top with a really flat bottom. The orientation, the rounded base, all have induced people to conclude that there were human hands in its construction. It's real steep through here. Here it is. Said that I didn't see obvious evidence of tool marks, but there's some strange aspects of it. It could very well have been formed with hammer blows. Curve. And I don't know what that brown round object that seems to be embedded in it is. Some kind of inclusion in the granite. The granite is composed of feldspar, which is the pinkish color, mica, which are the black flakes, and quartz. There's the foundation. The odd thing about the foundation is, I'll get around here, you can see it there, that it's just about the width of the object, and then it doesn't continue on the other side. It kind of terminates right here, and it terminates right there. The stones fit together really well. Are those perhaps natural cracks? And yeah, possibly, but maybe not. Maybe these areas in here on this curve are evidence of working the stone with a hammer, because you know it's curved this way too. It's not just curved that way, it's actually curved this way. Now, could that have been caused by erosion because of its cracks? Yeah, I think so. And any one of these, look how straight that is. Any one of these factors is explainable, natural causes. But take all of them together, and it begins to be kind of hard to explain. So we'll go up on the upper side. The solstice is in about an hour. So we had promised ourselves we were going to be here for the moment of the solstice, which in the mountain time zone is 52 p.m. which is an hour from now. It just seems strange that it fits the way it fits here. It's flat all the way, flat on the bottom, and it seems to fit into this foundation that we're dealing with here. This, strangely, I mean, it may be completely natural,
It is very.
But it has the indicia of a footing.
It does. Like fits kind of like a glove.
And
now there's another crack here.
I see. There's two vertical cracks
that I saw
that are roughly parallel.
Which makes you wonder, another vertical crack here. I mean, this is one rock that is developing a crack. Which makes you wonder if this was a crack that developed in one rock.
Okay.
And would it weather that way if it did? You know, that's a geology question.
Yeah. Let's go up on the other side of it.
I mean, for sure, it's cracking here.
There's freeze-thaw cycles in here.
They've got to be vicious.
That are really, really difficult for this rock to withstand. And this thing is entirely exposed.
Well, this is an awfully straight edge, but this crack is awfully straight too.
Yeah.
Which, one possible explanation would be if it's caused by water running down there that gets in, water runs straight down with gravity.
I know.
That's the only thing I can think of. Because one of the curious things about this is how generally straight and plumb these sides are,
Yeah.
Perfectly plumb, but that crack is plumb too.
From the top. So from here, you can see where the sun is. It's over there. The sun is going to rise right about there. And from here, if the sun rises over there, you're not going to be able to see it through this crack. And the sun sets in June over there. So you get up here to look at this thing, and you truly do begin to wonder about it. It's in the middle of, what is obviously a natural boulder field, and yet it stands out like a sore thumb in that there's nothing else around here that's even remotely like it. The capstone is, I guess it could have just happened there if all of the other material that was around it, assume that it was buried at some point, or that it's granite. I mean, it's part of the batholith. And if the hillside eroded away and exposed these boulders, then I guess you could have those. The standing boulder could have been a single boulder with the crack, be frost wedged and cracked vertically, because there's other vertical cracks in it. The biggest question really about it is, if you were an ancient, why would you build this here? It's not even on the top. I mean, if we come around here, the top is another, 50 feet above me vertically. And and there's big boulders up there too. I'll walk up there and we'll look back down on this, and that's the part of this that makes no sense. And I'm pretty near the top of this mountain that we're on. You can see there's higher terrain to the south of me. But I came up here to see if I saw any sign on any of these boulders that they had been worked, or the presence of nubs or holes. And I don't see any. I don't see anything like that. Everything here looks completely natural, but it is rough as hell to climb around on.
But you can see in these boulders that there are natural vertical cracks. Here's one right here. There's this field of boulders right there. And they also have vertical cracks, and you could call that a capstone. You could call this a capstone in the sense that it's perched on top. It seems to fit. So, again, I don't see any examples of the kinds of things that would really indicate that this area had been worked. It looks purely as though it's a work of nature to me. Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'll take nature's work any day. I'm going to search around a little bit. I'll come back. I'll get the video back on again here when I have a better look around to see if there's any other evidence of people working on this stone in ancient times. I'll push the camera up there. That's what I'm talking about. See, there's no crack on either side of that. That's a solid monolithic boulder with this strange cut in it. How'd that happen? Like a lot of the other things in this area, I just don't know. Now right there ahead of the camera is the scoop mark. It's another strange looking it stands out as being different from anything else in this boulder field. You've got this circular depression that's about, 25 inches in diameter. And no particular, it's a smooth curve goes around there. There's nothing that isn't obvious. Reason for this. It just is. Could that be natural? Of course. Could be. But it's just another nail in the coffin. That there's something that's not entirely natural about this formation. Now look at those. Tell me they don't look like nubs. They kind of line up across this boulder, and this has been here for tens of thousands of years. Pretty much unchanged, I suppose. It's weathering and eroding slowly. But granite erodes real slow. And this stuff will last a long, long time. And these nubs, not only are they anomalous, but they're in a line. Look at that. They're in a line. A scoop mark. It looks kind of regular.
It looks like a scoop mark, but I've never seen one that was vertical like that. I can't put anything in there, it'll fall
Well, just
out.
measure that scoop mark with your tape measure while I have it on video.
It's about 21 inches in height.
And everything else around here breaks kind of in
And about
straight lines.
28 inches in width.
Let's see if we can find anything else like that in this boulder field. We got lots
That's
of
a
time.
real interesting
That is.
feature. I don't necessarily have an explanation for that.
Okay, we've been looking for anomalous features in these boulders. The boulders are all pretty similar, but in some respects there are some anomalous stuff in here. And these nubs are part of it. And not only are they strangely anomalous, you don't see them on the other surfaces, but they're in a line, and they pretty well line up too. And you know, what could cause that, I don't honestly know, but they're heavily weathered. They've been there a long time. It's one of the many things about this area that is intriguing, puzzling. It's difficult to come to any real conclusions about it. If we come back this way, Dave, I'll show you where that cut mark is. Just come this way. This is a big, right here, a big solid granite boulder. And you don't notice anything strange about it until you get around to this side. And then there's that. And normally to see something like that wouldn't be a surprise because there's cracks, you know, the cracks weather more than the face of the boulder does, so. But there's no cracks on either side of that. It looks like it was cut in there. I don't know how nature would do that. In solid granite, this stuff is hard and very solid and very durable. So you're gonna have to pound on that in order to make something like that. And why you would do that, I have no idea. But it is there. And there we've got, you know, if you just take any one of these alone, they wouldn't really stand out to you. But when you take them all together, it really does start to be puzzling. So over here on this boulder, you know, maybe I guess you could say, well, maybe there was another boulder in here and it fell away. But you don't see that in any of these other boulders. It's just another part of the mystery. And I reckon I will never figure it out. But that's okay. Mysteries are good. Before we left the site, we measured the alignment of the gap between the vertical pillars of the dolmen. We measured it very carefully with our phone compass backed by 2 magnetic compasses. They all tell the same story. The gap is aligned to true north-south, 0 degrees true azimuth. It's exactly aligned to the Earth's rotational poles. So what does that mean? Well, the geologists would say it means absolutely nothing. There are millions of these boulders scattered randomly across the landscape. Statistically, some of them are going to be aligned that way. It's just chance. Me? I'm not so sure. Taken by itself, that might be convincing. But taken together with all of the other strange anomalies associated with this object, maybe there's something else going on that's been mostly wiped away by the passage of time. I don't suppose we'll ever know.